Hello and welcome to episode 169 of Glitch Report. My name is GnittWitt. Thank you so much for stopping by, saying hi, kicking it with me today on the stream of dreams, the show of shows, and everything in between. You can find everything that I do over at my Linktree. That is linktree.com/GnittWitt, GnittWitt. I am on a Twitch, Threads, TikTok, Blue Sky, Instagram, all of those great things, and YouTube as well. So make sure to find the thing that I'm doing and enjoy the thing that I did. It's really the only way to describe it. And boy, oh boy, are we going to be describing some wild things today on the show. I have played through the video game Horses. We're going to talk about Horses on the show as well. I also was not expecting to be on this podcast talking about an apology put out by your friends and mine over at Activision over the state of Call of Duty. When we talk wild, we ain't just talking horses. We're talking about basically the closest thing to an apology that I have ever seen for the state of a Call of Duty game. I'm going to read their entire message, which isn't that long. I mean, it's long, but it's not that long. But I think it's important to cover kind of what they said and maybe criticize what it is that they're saying because of their inability to back it up, or at least my perceived inability for them to back it up. We're going to try to cover the Netflix stuff, though, you know, things have changed a lot since they announced that they're looking to buy Warner Brothers. But the other thing is, I'm not looking at it from necessarily the Hollywood perspective. I'm looking at it from the perspective of what happens to Mortal Kombat and Batman and things like that. Like what happens to their games more so than what happens to their movies. I've also been playing some other games besides Horses, which is for the best, because if I had just played Horses, I don't know what kind of state I would be in. We're going to talk about Fallout 3. We're going to talk about Dragon Age of Veilguard, some hot new video game releases. Which, I mean, in the case of Fallout 3, it makes sense because that TV show, season 2, is coming out very, very soon. But I was going to talk about Horses first. Let's cover this Call of Duty thing first, and then we'll go from there. So yesterday, December 9th, there was a post put out on CallOfDuty.com, and it is titled a message from the Call of Duty team, and it is in regards to the Call of Duty Black Ops 7 update. So this just happened yesterday. I want to cover this because it's quite something, and we'll go from there, okay? First off, thank you all for your feedback we have received over the last few months. Call of Duty has enjoyed long-standing success because of all of you, a passionate community that demands excellence and deserves nothing less. We also know that for some of you, the franchise has not met your expectations fully. To be very clear, we know what you expect, and rest assured we will deliver and over-deliver on those expectations as we move forward. With respect to Black Ops 7, we set our sights to deliver a spiritual successor to Black Ops 2, and the studios have poured their passion into making a great game that all of us are very proud of. But it's one thing for us to say it. More importantly, it's up for you to try it and judge for yourself. So as it relates to Black Ops 7 and the future of Call of Duty, here are a few important notes. Number 1, you'll have the opportunity to play Black Ops for free. Next week, we are opening the doors for everyone to jump in and play Black Ops 7 multiplayer and zombies for a free trial along with a double XP weekend. We would like you to experience the game firsthand and decide for yourselves. 2, we are committed to unprecedented seasonal support. Your continuing feedback will help shape our seasonal updates over the coming months. Season 1 is the largest season ever, and we're just getting started. We won't rest until Black Ops 7 earns its place as one of the best Black Ops games ever made. 3, our strategy going forward. We will no longer do back-to-back releases of Modern Warfare or Black Ops games. The reasons are many, but the main one is to ensure we provide an absolutely unique experience each and every year. We will drive innovation that is meaningful, not incremental. While we aren't sharing those plans today, we look forward to doing so when the time is right. To be clear, the future of Call of Duty is very strong, and we believe our best days are ahead of us, given the depth and talent of our development teams. We have been building the next era of Call of Duty, and it will deliver precisely on what you want, along with some surprises that push the franchise and the genre forward. We look forward to welcoming you in, listening to you, and moving forward together. Now, that is as close as saying we're sorry for the state of Call of Duty Black Ops 7 as you're going to get without them literally saying the words "I'm sorry" or "apologize." But let's talk about a couple of things. I'm going to basically just tear through this whole message here, and join me, why won't you? First of all, we set our sights to deliver a successor to Black Ops 2. What? There are very few points in Black Ops 7 that I felt like were successors, was attempting to push forward what was done in Call of Duty Black Ops 2. In fact, I felt like if anything, they were just retreading and further muddying the waters of the Black Ops timeline with them kind of going back to the well with Black Ops 2. The other thing I'll say is that Black Ops 2 is a pretty old Call of Duty game. So being a spiritual successor to that old of a game, I feel like is just going to confuse people who maybe haven't played a Black Ops 1 or 2 in 10 plus years. Like it was a fool's idea to be a spiritual successor to Black Ops 2. I admire it, but I think too much time has passed for it to be appropriate to be a spiritual successor to Black Ops 2. Second thing I'll say is you'll have the opportunity to play Black Ops 7 for free. Here's the thing about Black Ops is that campaign is some of the worst word of mouth a Call of Duty game has received in a while. I don't think that Black Ops is the worst, Black Ops 7 specifically. I don't even think Black Ops 7 is the worst Call of Duty game that I played. Like, I think Call of Duty Ghosts is a worse game than Black Ops 7. You can shoot me, you can do whatever you want. But I think straight up, Black Ops 7 is not the worst Call of Duty. I would also say that Black Ops 4 is a worse Call of Duty game than Black Ops 7. Ghosts and Black Ops 4, worse games than Black Ops 7. Black Ops 4, if you remember, no campaign at all. It instead had the Blackout Battle Royale mode, which I thought was cool, but then they also went down the road of being a hero shooter with, trying to rip off of Overwatch and all of this shit. Like, Black Ops 4, I did not like. I thought Blacklist was neat, or Blackout, whatever the fuck that mode was called, was neat, but I don't think Black Ops 4 is very good. And I think the campaign and its sense of identity and place is just so weak when it comes to Call of Duty Ghosts. Like, again, if you only care about the campaigns of Call of Duty and you haven't played all of them, you could play Ghost if you wanted to, but as far as I'm concerned, I think the pound for pound, the total package, Black Ops 7 is a better game than Ghosts. Black Ops 7 is a better game than Black Ops 4. So the thing about Black Ops 7 that it has going for it is that I think the extraction shooter mode endgame is not bad. I think its multiplayer is okay. There's a ton of zombie stuff, which is funny because this year I've played almost no zombie stuff compared to last year when I played a lot of zombie stuff. So I think it's just a scenario where, like, if you fuck with the zombie stuff, there's a lot to fuck with. I really don't fuck with a lot of zombie stuff. So to me, like, the campaign is rotten. The zombies I don't care about. So you're left with an extraction shooter mode that reuses a lot of the elements of the campaign anyways. And the multiplayer. I think there are some good things going for Black Ops 7. Unfortunately, the key problem is not actually if it's greater than the sum of its parts or worse than the sum of its parts. It's the part where people heard about the campaign and do not want to fucking touch it at all. It's just rotten and toxic. They want nothing to do with it. So them saying, hey, you can play it for free as part of like a double XP week, like people aren't going to fucking take time to stop playing Battlefield or Arc Raiders to fucking play this. And first of all, it's not enough time. I think you give people like a proper week. Well, here's the thing. You're giving, I'm on two minds of it. Hold on. Because on one hand, you want to give them the weekend to play it because then they will go buy the game because they want more. But on the other hand, I just think that there's nothing, I can't stress enough. If I bought this game, I would not be stoked. But because I got it for free on Game Pass, c'est la vie. That being said, I just don't think a double XP weekend. First of all, they didn't even say like when does that double XP weekend start. I'll check their website, but I don't even see like a news article being like, here's when the weekend starts. Like I don't even see that shit. And they talking about like, and I'm getting ahead of myself, so I'll just say this. I don't think a double XP weekend is going to get people in. Like, I think if you play the game for yourself, you're going to see that it's not that bad, but it's also not my fucking problem in terms of convincing people that Black Ops 7 isn't the worst thing ever to be created as far as video games go. If you play it for yourself, maybe you'll think differently. I also just don't think that a double XP weekend is enough. Oh well. They go on to say, we are committed to unprecedented seasonal support. No, you're not. You are not. I'm telling you right now, they are not committed to unprecedented seasonal support. And I'll explain why. First off, season 1 is their largest ever live season. Great. It's filled with a bunch of shit that I don't care about. As someone who has mostly played Endgame, compared to the other modes, them adding zombie stuff and them adding multiplayer stuff, like, yeah, I might mess around with some of the multiplayer stuff, but I'm not going to touch zombies. I just don't care. So them like making the game so big and then having to support every inch of, content that game or modes that game has to offer. It's just crazy. Jeff Gersman posted on Instagram thread saying, in regards to this news, saying, guessing the Call of Duty numbers were actually brutal if they're getting out here and halfway apologizing like this. That lines up with my experience. I keep seeing matches that don't fill up all the way before start, much longer queue times, players quitting more regularly mid-match, stuff like that. I responded saying, the unprecedented support comment is so silly in a world where once the year of content is over, all those folks are absolutely moving on to the next games. With his response saying, it's where the broad nature of the game really works against it. Like, yeah, they did a lot of work to zombies, but I don't play zombies, so the biggest zombies ever doesn't do anything for me at all. I don't care if it all adds up to a lot across all modes. It doesn't feel any bigger than previous years. So they can't provide unprecedented seasonal support. There's just no way to do it because people are going to come to this game for different reasons. And ultimately, they will rest before Black Ops 7 has earned its place as one of the best Black Ops games ever made because they have to move on to next year's game. Like the people that are maybe supporting Call of Duty Black Ops 7 for the rest of this year, up until the release of the next game, they are not going to stick around for year 2 of Black Ops 7. There's just no way. And if they were to do a scenario where they skipped a year, this is the worst possible game they could skip a year on because there's going to be almost nobody left playing Black Ops 7 in 2 years' time when the next game comes out. Will they ever do a year off? I don't know. I don't think they're there yet. I don't think things have gotten bad enough for that, right? I will also mention that games that have done a year or two off have not always come back any more successful. I think about a series like Need for Speed that was a yearly franchise. The Need for Speed franchise was one of the biggest goddamn franchises in gaming. Even if you didn't like cars, you were probably playing a Need for Speed game. And look how that turned out after yearly annualized releases, them taking a year or two off, coming back, and still it wasn't enough. Call of Duty is nowhere close to that. But again, they will rest until Black Ops is, they'll rest long before Black Ops is one of the best Black Ops games ever made. I guarantee it. And whatever content they do is going to be met with mixed reception because of what people come to. Like, come to me when Endgame has more shit to do in it. Come to me when Endgame allows me to offer more customization in the way I approach loadouts and things like that. Like, come to me when Endgame is just a far more compelling mode than it already is. And I say that as someone who kind of likes Endgame anyways. It's just they don't have they can't support this game as much as they want to. It's all lip service. The final thing I'll say, we will no longer do back-to-back releases of Modern Warfare or Black Ops. The problem was when they did that, Modern Warfare 2, the most recent Modern Warfare, well-regarded game. Modern Warfare 3, not a well-regarded game. Black Ops 6, a well-regarded game. Black Ops 7, not a well-regarded game. I don't know what they were thinking in terms of doing back-to-back releases for these games. They had a good thing going when they did Modern Warfare and then Black Ops and then Modern Warfare and then whatever. And they didn't even always do that clean of a split between 1 year is Modern Warfare, 1 year is Black Ops. They made a bunch of fucking World War II games in the process, and they did Black Ops Cold War, and they rebooted Modern Warfare and Infinite Warfare and Advanced Warfare. They fucked around with the formula and the sub series within the franchise many times over. I don't know why they just put their heads in the sand and said, we are only doing Modern Warfare or Black Ops. I think there is room for a third sub series within it. Like, I don't know, like at some point, if Black Ops is the future and Modern Warfare is the now, then maybe you find a way to either do a past, which is what I thought Black Ops was. Like, to me, Black Ops was more about leading into the past, the Cold War, the Vietnam War, the Gulf War, stuff like that. Yes, they do have future stuff, but it always seemed to tie so much back into the present, right? And how we got here in the timeline of the Black Ops game. So I think ultimately, I don't know if Call of Duty can even support a third series right now with where they're at. But maybe you look at Call of Duty as, here's a game series about the past, a game series about the present, and a game series about the future. And wherever Modern Warfare lies and Black Ops lies is up to them. But they should have known after Modern Warfare 3 that doing back-to-back releases was a fucking bad idea. But obviously, with these games being on a 2 to 3 year development cycle, they can't just stop everything that they're doing and say, hey, whoa, okay, all right, we'll course correct. It's just Call of Duty is a very slow moving ship. It goes forward, but getting it to turn around is easier said than done. They say we will drive innovation that is meaningful, not incremental. We aren't sharing those plans today because they don't have those plans. I don't think they have any idea how to right this wrong. I'm not saying they won't right this wrong, but I don't think they know how to right this wrong, especially because it's become very obvious that so many people come to Call of Duty for different things. There are people who only care about zombies and their survival mode. There are people who only care about the campaign. There are people who only care about the multiplayer. And there are people who only care about Warzone because that's the thing that's free to play. They have chopped up, they've chopped up Call of Duty so much that it is so homogenized, it is so big that I don't know how you innovate in a meaningful way without potentially alienating some of the people that come to that series. Right? Let's say they double down on, okay, we're going to do a more meaningful campaign. It's still going to tie in with your player ranking and all that stuff. Maybe it gets in the way of zombies, or maybe it gets in the way of multiplayer. It would probably never get in the way of the multiplayer because that is the golden goose, right? In terms of what's important to Call of Duty, it's multiplayer at the top, zombies, and then campaign at the bottom. But if they were to make changes, I think it just could alienate some fans. And I don't think they're sharing those plans because the next game, which will probably come out in 2026, I don't think they're going to skip a year this time around. I think that game is in a real fucking crisis mode. And if they don't skip a year, that game is going to be, I think it could easily end up in a scenario like this. I think they might take it on the chin 2 years in a row between Black Ops 7 and whatever the next game is. Right? I know they've maybe been having a little more time. All the rumors point to Modern Warfare 4 being the next game, which to me is like, do they then make Black Ops 8? Like, do they like, is it just Modern Warfare 4, Black Ops 8 until the fucking cows come home? Well, and only for those cows to be milked until there's nothing left. I don't know, but if it is Modern Warfare, which is funny because Modern Warfare 3 is not a good game, not a particularly good game, I should say. I don't know how they right the wrong in between now and when the next game comes out. I think it's going to take a hell of a lot longer. And maybe that's why they're not sharing those plans, because there are arguments being made that we need to delay the next game. There's never been a better time to save face, to delay the game, to get this series back on track. Do they throw more people at it? Like, now that the series is owned by, Microsoft, Activision has thrown many, many people at Call of Duty over the years. If you look at the developer list for Black Ops 7, which I'm going to pull up for you right now, you are going to see a massive list of people. The main developers are Treyarch and Raven Software. However, Beanox worked on the Windows version of the game. Activision Central Design, Activision Central Technology, Activision Shanghai, Demonware, Digital Legends, High Moon Studios, Infinity Ward, and Sledgehammer Games all provided additional development work on the game. And Infinity Ward is a developer that in the past have worked on their own Call of Duty games. Like, they were the people who made Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4 in 2007, right? Sledgehammer Games is a studio that has produced their own Call of Duty game in the past, with them being the main team to work on that game over time, right? They were So Sledgehammer Games were the main studio that did Advanced Warfare. They were also the main studio that did World War II. They were the main studio that did they were the main studio that did Vanguard. They were also the main studio that did Modern Warfare 3. So if we look at this timeline, Infinity Ward is probably the next studio to the next main studio. Because the last game that was the main Infinity Ward game was Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 in 2022. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's such a mess. I don't know what to say. I don't have a lot of high hopes, but I also don't think Black Ops 7 is that bad. It's just that they're reacting to it not because it's necessarily bad, but because it's not necessarily popular. We're going to take our first break. When we come back, we're going to talk about horses. Stick around. We ain't going anywhere. All right, welcome back. I continue to be GnittWitt, and we are going to talk about horses. Horses is a game that has recently seen a fair bit of controversy. It was banned from Steam as well as the Epic Games Store. And what Horses is a first-person horror adventure game in the style of a like old-timey like Italian silent horror movie. The game is in English, developed by an Italian team. It's like one of those things where you can like hear the like film projector in the background constantly throughout the game. It's in black and white. There's no voice dialogue. It's just that when you see people talking, it'll like show their mouths moving, and then it'll show like like the kind of the full screen dialogue card on display, and things like that. So it is a game that is going for a, stylish, film like, presentation. And it, like I said, so it's a first person horror game. It has been banned by Steam. And when you load up I bought the game on Good Old Games on GOG. It's like $5. You can beat it in like 3 or 4 hours, maybe, if you're on the slower side of completing it, which ended up being a problem for me because there's a really fucking terrible puzzle towards the end of the game that is stupid, and I basically had to look it up because I was so confused. Point is, when you Horses has been banned for a lot of its subject matter and its imagery and its messaging and its themes and stuff like that. What I would like to do is read to you the warning screen that shows up. There's actually 2 warning screens. There are 2 warning screens that show up on the start of the game when you load up Horses. I would like to read to you what the game warns you about at the start, and then I'm going to cover like if this is actually the case, should it have been banned? Like I'll cover everything, but I would just like to give a little more context into what Horses has been kind of what the controversy may be about. So you load up the game and it says, this game contains scenes of physical violence, psychological abuse, gory imagery, including mutilation and blood, depictions of slavery, physical and psychological torture, domestic abuse, sexual assault, suicide, and misogyny. The inclusion of these elements is intended to depict and characterize a fictional world and its fictional inhabitants. The presence of these elements is not an endorsement of them, nor do they reflect the belief or values of the creators. And then you can click more info. And it says, this game presents distressing and morally uncomfortable situations. At times, progression may require actions that conflict with the player's personal values, including participation in oppression, coercion, or physical harm. Some scenes also feature unsettling sounds, such as chewing and swallowing, which may be disturbing for players with sound sensitivities or related phobias. Character dialogue also include references to psychological trauma that may be upsetting, especially for those who have had similar experiences in their past. Player discretion is advised. If you feel uncomfortable or upset while playing, please consider stepping away or reaching out to someone you trust. It's a lot. It's a lot to get into when you fire up a video game. You don't see that in this year's Call of Duty. What is the premise of Horses? So like I said, Horses is very much pulling from like a kind of classic silent Italian horror film sort of vibe. And you play as a college student who is on summer break. And basically your parents don't care much for you. They think you're kind of a slacker. They think you're kind of a bum. So they decide to hook you up with this farmer who lives out in the middle of nowhere, runs a horse farm, and basically you're going to learn, how to be a man and be responsible through, hard manual labor. You're going to work on this farm for 2 weeks and you're going to learn something in the process, right? And, you meet the farmer and he's this like really goofy looking guy. He's got like big comical proportions. He kind of waddles when he walks. And he basically says, hey, I'm very excited to have you here. You're going to be doing some chores around the farm to help me out. I'm getting a little old, so I can't do it all myself. And, hey, you're going to learn about the farm and you're going to do some work on the farm for me. So the way the game works is you basically play through about 14 days, as part of the 2-week process. So each day you're doing different tasks as the story progresses. There's no strict timer, so you can't worry about like running out of time, but it'll be like day 1, you're going to water the carrots and pick the crops and feed the dog. And then, day 2, you're going to, clean out the horse's, stable and pick up the poop and feed them hay and all of this stuff. So, it is very, very, very obvious that there's something weird going on. Like immediately, you just look at this farmer and you're like, why is this guy so cheerful? Why is he so goofy? Why does he kind of smile in a creepy way? Why is he talking about being so lonely and, getting old and all of this stuff? Like, it's very obvious right from the start what's going on. And I should also mention, I guess, spoilers for those who do want to play this game. I'm not going to spoil everything, but I am going to maybe cover a lot of this game because that's what we do. We talk about games around here. Okay, so it doesn't take long for the twist in this game to become very, very obvious as to what's going on. In fact, if you saw the trailers for this game, you know exactly what's going on quite quickly. So, the first day, you walk by to feed the dog, and the dog is kind of its head is sticking out of the doghouse, but you can't see anything else. It's like you just see this, big comically large goofy dog head, and you can't see the rest of the dog because they're hiding in the doghouse. You just see the head, you put the food down, it eats it, all this stuff, right? There's a lot of like slurping and crunching and gulping. There's a lot of like that sort of noise in this game, but like anyways. And then you walk out to the barn where you see the horses, and the horses are naked people, naked human beings with horse heads on. Now, I want to stress, there is no nudity in this game. It is all pixelated, whether it be man or woman. You don't see any body parts whatsoever. It's all pixelated. It's like looking at Japanese porn or something. It's just people with horse heads on, standing around, very corralled in this very tight, like, barn situation. And the farmer says, hey, if you catch these horses fornicating, you got to let me know. And I want you, and it's like this thing where like they run through the names of the horses as if they expect you to remember it. And it's like, here's Steve, and here's Michelle, and here's Rodrigo, and all of these people, whatever, all these names for these horses. And the farmer's like, hey, if you catch these people fornicating, sorry, not people. If you catch these horses fornicating, you let me know. But again, they're not horses, they're people. They're referred to as horses. They're just people in horse masks that are like kind of like stuck on their head. Like they're kind of like tied to their necks or whatever. Like they can't take off the mask if they even wanted to, sort of thing. And they do horse things. They sleep in their little enclosure, and they eat hay, and they tame the fields like horses do. But then when you catch them fornicating, they're just doing it the way humans do. And you go and you tell the farmer, and he's like, okay, which one? And basically, this game is very much about the unraveling of what's going on at this farm. How did these horses end up there? And it's like halfway through the game that you meet this like wealthy businessman who comes to town. Because here's the other thing. Like other people, there are at least 3 other characters in the game besides you and the farmer and the horses. There are other people in the game who kind of know what's going on. Like you meet this wealthy businessman and his like adult daughter. And there's a really goofy part of the game where you're riding, like one of the horses is basically giving you a piggyback ride, and you're like riding through the fields on this horse, but it's a piggyback ride because they're not actually horses. And there's a part where you're kind of leading one of the horses on a leash or saddle, whatever. And the wealthy businessman's adult daughter, is riding on the back of it. And she kind of turns to you when she says, I know these aren't horses. I know these aren't real horses. And then she kind of goes on to say that, like, but she kind of explains that, you know, these people are deviants. These people were caught, you know, having sex. These people were caught having sex out in the woods, in the fields. They're deviants. They're disturbed, bad people because of their sexual urges. They're consensual. Can't stress enough. My understanding is the horses, when they have sex, are having consensual sex. Okay. There is non-consensual sex in the game, because eventually you find out that the dog is a human with a dog mask on, and then the dog does some really bad things to one of the horses unconsensually. But I'm getting ahead of myself. But basically, the daughter of this wealthy businessman says that, like, you know, the farmer keeps the horses in check. My dad, financially supports the farmer and buys, some horses, and basically we just keep society clean and moving. Everything is clean and moving in society, right? By taking care of the deviants the way that we are. We're basically keeping society clean. Then you meet a priest in the game, and he's very much like sexual urges are bad, it's a sin, and it's all this stuff. And maybe you find out that, like, oh, the farmer might like have some feelings, but he can't express them because of sin. And I think you know where this game is going in terms of its commentary on consent, on sex, on all of these various topics, the slavery and the dehumanization of people, and the way that, some people are hypocrites and they will say one thing and do another in order to claim that it keeps society clean and safe. And I think you know where this game is going in terms of its story. Like, there is very little in this game that surprised me. Like, yeah, it's like weird and the imagery is weird and you're like, oh, look at these naked horse people and all of this stuff. And like, sure, fine. There's a part in the game where you have to do bad things to one of the horses because the farmer's like, I'm going to hold down. What is it? He says, you catch one of the horses fornicating, and the farmer says, hold down its legs and I'm going to castrate this horse. But again, it's not a horse. It's a human man in a horse mask. And then you are there to stitch up the wound left by the farmer castrating the horse. There's a part where a female horse is whipped for misbehaving, and you put like hydrogen peroxide and like cotton balls on the wounds to clean it up. But again, it's not a horse. It's a human lady. You see where I'm going with this? So I've kind of two minds of this game. On one hand, I don't think it's particularly fun or good. Like, you scooping up poop as part of the errands that you run around the house, you feeding the dog, you helping with the horses, like that stuff it's barely a game. Like, you click and then you click again and you click a couple more times and it's done. There's not a lot of thought that goes into the tasks that you do around the farm. From a story perspective, from a, none of it like particularly wowed me. Like, it's an interesting game, but it's not particularly effective. It's not particularly good. Like, that's where I'm really left with this game, because there is no nudity. You don't see it happen. Like, you don't see much of anything happen. It's not like, there are probably games on Steam with far more nudity and explicit sexual content than Horses. Horses is very much trying to artsy it up a little bit, trying to, make it surreal and, things like that, right? It's trying to obscure a lot of this stuff in order to get its message across. The problem is I think its message is just kind of benign. It's whatever. There is a couple of cool parts in the game where, with some maybe fourth wall breaking stuff that's going on, like, especially in relation to like it having a lot of, influence from like film and stuff like that. Like there's kind of some moments around that, but like for the most part, I don't find it particularly gruesome. I don't find it particularly vulgar. I don't find it particularly offensive. It's just kind of benign. And that's where I'm left with like, yeah, this game is kind of preaching. Like there's a choice that you make at the end that my understanding is not actually a real choice. Like at no point is, at no point is it like, wow, you really changed the way the game is because of these choices. Like the ending is pretty flat. It wraps up way too cleanly as far as I'm concerned. The true nature of the farmer is, it's painfully obvious what the farmer is like, what's really going on with the farmer and why he runs these horses and why he's interested in them. Like that's all super, super obvious. Especially if you think about his relationship with with the priest in the game. And they, the farmer talks about, oh, my dad was such a hard man and, don't give in to these urges. And it's like, and then you see the farmer a couple of times in the game and you're like, oh yeah, sure. Mm-hmm. Yep. I can see why this guy is the way he is. Right. They just, I think, just kind of preach to the choir with horses. And I think that's my biggest problem is it's not particularly mind blowing. It's not particularly fun. And it's not particularly controversial. Like I left that game being like, really, this got banned from Steam? Of all the things that are on Steam, like for what it's worth, I've turned off all the like adult stuff on Steam. Like I don't see your anime hentai match 3 puzzle game. I can't find boobs on Steam. The game Boobs is on Steam. I can't find it unless I turn off some safe search filters and stuff like that. Like there's a lot of shit on Steam that like I just think is probably worse than this. And that's why I'm left kind of scratching my head, because I think the main reason why someone would want to see this game get banned is because they may approach sex and sexuality and consent in a hypocritical manner. My thought was that, if you are a deeply religious person who believes in repressed sexuality and sexual urges, but then says one thing and does another, like I feel like those are the type of, hyper conservative, hypocritical people that may find this game offensive. I think that's where the, when people get mad about jokes about priests being, Catholic priests being abusers, when people get mad about that stuff, I think those are the people that would want to see this game get banned. But again, it's just so, everything about it is so, the game itself is so flat that like, even if I was someone who was deeply offended about the joking about the abuse, the history of abuse that like the Catholic Church has inflicted on people or other religions and whatever in general with their very narrow views on sex and stuff like that. Like I would just, it's just kind of dumb. That's really where I'm at. I don't think Horses is a particularly good game, and I fail to see why it's banned. Like just top to bottom. It like, I'm not saying that it's some amazing thing. I'm really trying not to say it's some amazing thing, but like, if you're interested, you should see it. And I haven't spoiled everything. There's plenty of things to see in that game that may surprise you or may interest you or may be like, oh, that's kind of neat or whatever. Like they're like, if you want to play it, you should play it because it's like $5 or $6 and it's pretty short. Again, it's only on PC. It's only on GOG and itch.io. So, you're limited. I bought it off GOG. Again, I really fail to understand why this game got banned. And I think the only reason it did is because there is this sort of movement about the idea that anything and everything related to sex should be banned. Anything and everything related to, sex in video games, whether it be consensual or unconsensual, like that should be banned. We shouldn't talk about sex in video games anymore. We shouldn't, talk about it from the perspective of shining a light on different elements of society. I just think it's top to bottom a rotten, kind of movement of people trying to see something like this, not see the, prevent something like this from seeing the light of day. Horses is by far not the worst video game I've played this year. I will say that. Is it the most interesting? Maybe. It might be the most interesting, but like it's the mystery is the most interesting part. And that unfortunately wraps up well before the game is over. Like in terms of what's going on, you find out real quick what's going on in that game. And I just think it's a real shame that something like this was banned by Steam and the Epic Game Store, as well as the Humble Store, because this is something that some people may come away feeling like they learned something about themselves. I don't know what they would learn, but they might. And I think there's value in having a game like this available on these platforms. And I think it's mostly a group of hypocritical people who don't want to see something like this come out in a platform as accessible as Steam. Oof. Wow, we haven't even gotten to news. We're going to take another break and we'll be right back. Stick around. Welcome back to the podcast. My name is GnittWitt. I guess technically the Call of Duty news story was news, but let's get to the headlines. I'm like Jay Leno. Here we got headlines. Let's go. First one, Tekken boss Katsuhiro Harada says that he's leaving Bandai Namco last month. Now this is big because Harada says that Tekken's 30th anniversary is the most fitting moment to leave the studio. Harada, best known for being the series producer for Tekken, for those who don't know. In a statement posted on Twitter, Harada, who served as an executive director and executive producer on the Tekken series as well as general manager for Bandai Namco Studios' original IP projects, declared that he was leaving the company and with it the series he's worked on for the past 3 decades. I am getting this news story from Video Games Chronicles. As always, shout out to Video Games Chronicle. Stating, I'd like to share that I'll be leaving Bandai Namco at the end of 2025. With the Tekken series reaching its 30th anniversary, an important milestone for a project I've devoted much of my life to, I felt this was the most fitting moment to bring one chapter to a close. Harada has worked on the Tekken series since its inception. Towards the end of his first year working at Namco, he was given a role working on balancing the game and tweaking its timing and frame data. Now, by the time the series had reached Tekken 3, Harada had become a designer and director on the series and has been heavily involved with it ever since. He says, my roots lie in the days when I supported small local tournaments in Japanese arcades and in small halls and community centers overseas. I still remember carrying the arcade cabinets myself, encouraging people to please try Tekken and directly facing the players in front of me. The conversations and atmosphere we shared in those places became the core of who I am as a developer and a creator. Even as the times changed, those expectations have remained at the center of my identity. And even after the tournament scene grew much larger, many of you continued to treat me like an old friend, challenging me at venues, inviting me out for drinks at the bar. Those memories are deeply precious to me. In recent years, I've experienced the loss of several close friends in my personal life, and in my professional life, I witnessed the retirement or passing of many of my senior colleagues whom I deeply respect. Those accumulated events made me reflect on the time I have left as a creator. During that period, I sought advice from former Sony Computer Entertainment CEO Ken Kutaragi, whom I respect as though he were another father, and received invaluable encouragement and guidance. His words quietly supported me in making this decision. Harada wrote that he has gradually handed over all my responsibilities as well as the stories and world building I oversaw to the team over the past 4 or 5 years. Saying, looking back, I was fortunate to work on an extraordinary variety of projects, VR titles such as Summer Lesson, Pokken Tournament, and the Soul Calibur series, and many others both inside and outside the company. Every project was full of new discoveries and learning, and every one of them became an irreplaceable experience for me. To everyone who has supported me, to communities around the world, to all the colleagues who have walked alongside me for so many years, I offer my deepest gratitude. I'll share more about my next steps at a later date. Thank you very much for everything. In a separate statement, Bandai Namco told players that Tekken 8 will continue to receive future content and that the series will continue following Harada's departure. To our fans, rest assured that we are fully committed to the future development and content plans for Tekken 8. We will continue to take community feedback on the game and its content to heart to ensure that we uphold the vision and spirit built by Harada-san, dedicating our utmost effort to ensure the legacy of the Tekken series continues as fighting game franchises beloved around the world. So as a fighting game franchise beloved worldwide. I think Harada is probably one of the coolest dudes. Like, I try not to think about gaming as like an auteur thing. Like, there are so many people that work on the games, various aspects. Like, to say that Harada is Tekken or is the Tekken guy, while I think not inaccurate, I think is a very narrow view of looking at it. Like, it takes a village to put together a game like Tekken and maintain it for as long as Tekken has been maintained. That being said, I think Tekken is cool. I think Tekken is very good. I have not had a chance to play much of Tekken 8. I played a little bit of it, but not a lot. And I just like, yeah, when I think about Tekken, I do think about Harada. You know, man's got his sunglasses and his hair. Look up a picture of Harada and tell me that he wouldn't fit just as he is. Just look up a picture of Katsuhiro Harada and tell me that if you just drop that dude into a Yakuza game, he wouldn't be the perfect guy with his hair and his sunglasses and holds up his fist. The king of iron fists. I admire Harada quite a bit. I think he is a wonderful shepherd of Tekken over the years. And I hope he does something really cool. Like, it's every possibility that like he leaves, forms his own studio and does another 3D fighter. And if so, more power to him. But like, you know, Tekken has been such an ambitious game over such a long period of time with its different modes and characters and customization and all this crazy shit that like, I would love to see him do something totally different. I would also love to see him, you know, stay true to himself as best he can. And, you know, if he says he doesn't have a lot of time left, then I want him to make the game that he feels like he always wanted to make, whatever that game may be. So I'm very excited to see what Harada does next. You know, it seems like people have not loved the continued support that Tekken 8 has received. Tekken 8 came out January of last year, so it's been a little while now since that game came out. And my understanding is people don't love the continued support that game has received, but we shall see. They say they're going to continue to support it. They've put out such characters as Anna and Armor King and Clive from Final Fantasy 16 and Eddie Gordo and Heihachi and all of these other people. Miari Zo and some sort of Pac-Man thing. They put some sort of Pac-Man thing into Tekken 8. Anyways, I wish Harada the best of luck. I think that guy is very cool. One of the coolest dudes in gaming as far as I'm concerned. And I look forward to seeing what he does next. So this new story is very muddied. This next news story, I should say, is very muddied because of what has gone on since this initial story dropped. Netflix has agreed to buy Warner Brothers, including the game developers behind Mortal Kombat and Batman Arkham and all that stuff. At the time, it was a deal valued at $82.7 billion. That has since been, you know, kind of the wrench has been thrown into the operations because now Paramount is offering, I think, like a $100 billion deal instead for Warner Brothers. I don't know if they can back out. I don't know, subject to approval and all this stuff. It takes a while to buy these companies. However, the reason I'm talking about this is because Netflix has tried to get into gaming, and Netflix has done a fucking terrible job with its games. They've done an awful job with, getting people to play Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead Redemption on, mobile devices. They've done a terrible job of putting out games under the studios that they own, right? They've closed studios, they've canceled projects and all this stuff. And that's not to say that Warner Brothers hasn't done that either, but like, if you're going to dip your toes into the world of gaming, how about you actually put some stuff out instead of just canceling it before it ever sees the light of day? That's one of my big problems with the idea of Netflix owning, Warner Brothers, is there is a wealth of studios like, and franchises, whether that be Game of Thrones and DC Universe, Mortal Kombat, Batman Arkham, Hogwarts Legacy. You say what you will about Hogwarts and Harry Potter and J.K. Rowling and all that stuff, but like, there's a lot of game. Warner Brothers also bought a lot of old Atari games at one point. Like they bought a lot of Atari franchises back when Atari was like, and Midway and as well. So there's a ton of stuff that, could be used for gaming and all of this stuff. And I don't trust Netflix with any of it. Do I trust Paramount? I don't know. I feel like Paramount at least cares more about, putting movies in theaters and supporting Hollywood more than Netflix does. I feel like Netflix is very much out there to destroy, your movie theater experience, your classic Hollywood experience, and destroy physical media. I don't really care that much about physical media these days. I'm not going to go buy a Blu-ray. It's not something I'm going to be doing. I'm not going to go buy a physical game if I can help it. So there's a lot of different ways to approach this, but I just wanted to throw that wrench to the, out there and say, like, Paramount is trying to get in on this deal with $100 billion offer instead of Netflix's 82.7. And that just keep in mind, however you feel about this, there's a lot of gaming stuff on the line as well. And I personally don't trust Netflix to do anything with the gaming stuff owned by Warner Brothers. And if nothing comes out of their gaming stuff going forward, I think that is an incredible shame. I also don't know who I would trust maybe to buy the gaming stuff from Warner Brothers. EA just got, bought up by Saudi Arabia. Activision just got bought up by, Microsoft. Ubisoft is too busy getting into bed with Tencent. So who are you really left with? Embracer Group? Embracer Group can't fucking afford Warner Brothers. They can barely afford to get their games out the door without canceling them. Take-Two? Do you think Take-Two really, is in a position to take on Mortal Kombat and all of these other, Batman and all of these other franchises? And the other thing is that, the reason Warner Brothers can make these games is because they own Batman and they own the people that make the Batman games. So if you end up with Rocksteady, the developers of Batman Arkham, but you don't own the Batman license, then what the fuck are you going to have Rocksteady do anyways, right? If you own NetherRealm, but you don't own Mortal Kombat, what are you going to have them do? An incredibly messy situation that I would just like to bring to your attention in terms of what is going to happen with this game stuff, and we will monitor the situation as it develops. The Elder Scrolls Skyrim Anniversary Edition has been shadow dropped on Switch 2 with a free upgrade for Switch players. The Switch 2 version boasts improved resolution and load times. The Anniversary Edition of the game was a remaster released back in 2021 for PS5, Xbox Series X and S, PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Now the Switch 2 version has shadow dropped for people to play. The Switch 2 version of Skyrim Anniversary offers enhanced resolution and faster load times, as well as Joy-Con 2 mouse controls, motion controls, and amiibo support. Now, for what it's worth, if you don't own Skyrim at all on Switch, it's going to cost you $60 Canadian. $60 American for the Switch 2 version of the game. If you already own Skyrim Anniversary Edition on Switch, you can get the Switch 2 version for free if you want. Players who only own the standard edition of Skyrim on Switch and don't have the Anniversary Edition can upgrade to the Anniversary Edition of the Switch 2 version for $20 American if they want to. The Anniversary Edition also includes its 3 official expansions: Dawnguard, Dragonborn, and Hearthfire. The Anniversary Edition also gives players access to the Creation Clubs with extra community-created quests, weapons, armor, spells, dungeons, and other additions. As with the standard Anniversary Edition version of the game, the Switch 2 also includes exclusive Nintendo content from The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, including the Master Sword, the Hylian Shield, and the Champion's Tunic. Remember that this is a re-release of a game that came out back in 2011. Have you heard about the big Resident Evil leak? If you haven't, I'll tell you right now. It's leaking a bunch of like zombie goo. It's just like, ew, look at this zombie goo that's leaking all over the place. No, multiple leaks have confirmed. Sorry, I should say confirm. Multiple leaks related to Resident Evil Requiem have pointed to a additional playable character in the game. If you remember, the main character of Resident Evil is a character called Rosemary Winters. It seems to be that you will also be able to play as Leon Kennedy. That's what the leaks from the PlayStation Store have pointed to. There's also supposed to be a third playable character in the game. And there's really not much else. Like, we're probably going to see more of the Game Awards. More of Resident Evil Requiem at the Game Awards, which is happening on this Thursday. So don't forget it. Unless you're watching this live, then you won't forget. And as a reminder, Resident Evil Requiem is set to come out February 27th of 2026 on PS5, Xbox Series X and S, Switch 2, and PC. And all signs point to Rosemary Winters and Leon Kennedy as playable characters. Let's talk Capcom. Capcom is looking to branch out a little bit in terms of its core franchises. When they think about core franchises by Capcom, there's 3. There's 3 main franchises that Capcom is really focused on over the last few years. It's Street Fighter, it's Resident Evil, and it's Monster Hunter. Capcom now says they plan to grow Mega Man, Devil May Cry, and Ace Attorney into core IPs like the ones I just mentioned. The COO, and the Capcom president and COO put out a statement saying, "At Capcom, we aim to sustain our KPI of 10% or better annual operating profit growth, along with our long-term goal of annual software sales of 100 million units. To improve our chances, we are working to resolve business challenges issue by issue. Our efforts are focused on core IP such as Resident Evil, Monster Hunter, and Street Fighter franchises, and mapping out mainline series entries and sequels, remakes, new IP, and ports of content to the latest hardware. We consistently release 2 to 3 new major titles each year, but recognize the need to grow our pipeline going forward." Now, to grow the pipeline, the president explained that Capcom is focusing on some of its other series and plan to eventually grow their player bases up to a point that they too can be considered core IPs. Stating Capcom owns a wealth of globally popular brands such as Mega Man, Devil May Cry, and Ace Attorney. We aim to expand our user base and improve our performance through new releases, remakes, and ports of titles in the series to new hardware. By enhancing brand power and cultivating a loyal fan base, we will grow these into core IP. The people developing this content are our world-class in-house creators. For the past 3 years, we have made strengthening our human capital and a management priority, and to this end, we have been training and recruiting personnel to expand our development structure. Previously, we consolidated our game development in Osaka to promote efficiency. However, to further strengthen its structure, we are currently constructing a new development facility next to our head office, slated for completion in 2027, We have also acquired nearby land with future expansion in mind. Now, the Resident Evil series is currently Capcom's biggest seller with around 170 million units sold since the first game's release in 1996. This is followed by Monster Hunter, which sold 120 million units since 2004. The Street Fighter franchise has sold 56 million units since first coming out in 1987. Now, here's the thing. By comparison, the Mega Man series has sold 43 million units since 1987. Devil May Cry has sold 33 million units since 2001, and Ace Attorney has sold 13 million units since 2001. So they were actually very close to getting both Mega Man and Devil May Cry in a position to be core franchises. Ace Attorney, we'll see. I think Ace Attorney is going to have a tougher road to hoe, if I'm being honest with you. But listen, I think it's not that I think Capcom could do no wrong. I think that Capcom has mostly been killing it. And if they truly want to make Mega Man a big brand for them going forward, and Devil May Cry, I think they have the chance to do that. Speaking of going forward, the future of Tomb Raider will be revealed at the Game Awards. Crystal Dynamics announced 3 years ago that it started working on a new Tomb Raider game. Crystal Dynamics has seen nothing but layoffs and more layoffs and even more layoffs since they announced this. So I don't really even know who's still working on Tomb Raider at this point. It might just be like 12 people. But we won't know until the Game Awards happens, which is going to be Thursday, December 11th at 4:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. This is an interesting one. There was a Postal game in development. It shut down. There's a Postal game in development. The developer shut down after the project was canceled due to allegations of generative AI being used in the game. Now, here's the thing. Other games have seen generative AI use before, right? There's generative AI in Arc Raiders. There's generative AI in Call of Duty Black Ops 7 and Black Ops 6. I'm not covering for the use of generative AI, but this is not even close to the first time we've seen generative AI used in a game. So what's the deal? Well, the deal is that I think the people who run Postal are fucking weirdos. I think Postal's okay. I think Postal's all right. But I think the people that run Postal are weirdos. But there's more to the story. The publisher's co-owner initially said people accusing the studio of using AI were ignorant assholes. All right. After an announcement trailer for Postal Bullet Paradise, developed by Goon Swarm Games, was posted last week, numerous players suggested that some elements of the trailer's artwork may have been created using generative AI. Following the allegations, Postal series publisher Running with Scissors initially denied the claims, with co-owner Mike Jarrett Schachter, Schachter. Come on, man. Telling people on the publisher's Discord that they were ignorant assholes if they believed generative AI was used. So the people who own Postal, not the people working on this new game, but the people who own Postal saying you're an ignorant asshole if you think the generative AI is being used. Okay. Responding to Discord users who continued to claim it was AI, the series publisher said, it's literally not. Sorry, guys. Sorry, guy. I'm going to read this quote. I'm going to read the quote, and I'm not happy about this quote, but they said, it's literally not. Sorry, guys. Your wet dream is wrong. Dead fucking wrong. Meanwhile, the community manager of Running with Scissors told one Discord member that they were the R word for believing generative AI was used. I'm not going to say the R word, but I think you know which R word it is. Developer Goonswarm responded to players by posting what it claims were work in progress files proving the artwork was created manually, but some were also suspicious that these appeared to be questionable, with some accusing them of tracing over existing art. In a statement to PC Games N, Goonswarm said no generative AI was used for the reveal trailer or for the game. All assets were created by our human artist using standard tools. We've already shared layered PSDs, work in progress files, and other materials to confirm this. Any mistakes or rough spots in those files are being misinterpreted as proof of AI, but they simply reflect the normal human art creation process. Despite initially defending the developer and criticizing those making the accusations, Running with Scissors eventually posted a statement on Twitter in which it appeared to backtrack on its defense of Goonswarm Games, saying its trust in the studio was broken and that the game had been canceled. After revealing the Postal Bullet Paradise, a title Running with Scissors was planning on publishing but not developing, we've been overwhelmed with negative response from our concerned Postal community in a statement put out by Running with Scissors, going as far as to say the strong feedback from them is that elements of the game are very likely AI generated and thus has caused extreme damage to our brand and community reputation. We've always been and always will be transparent with our community. Our trust in the development team is broken, therefore we've killed the project. We have a lot of good things coming. Some of you know and some of you don't. Seemingly referring to the attacks on its own community, the publisher, Running with Scissors, added, "We'd like, of course, to apologize to anyone who felt insulted in the heat of the moment, and we thank you for raising your concerns at this time. As for those who specifically sent us death threats, the apology does not apply." Following Running with Scissors' statement, developer Goonswarm Games then announced it was shutting down entirely while still maintaining its claim that it didn't use AI for Postal Bullet Paradise. Quote, "Our project and everything we built over the past 6 years was canceled in just a few days. Our studio was mistakenly accused of using AI-generated art in our games, and every attempt to clarify our work only escalated the situation. In the last few hours, we've received a large number of threats, insults, and mockery, which pushed us towards a very difficult decision. We are truly sorry for the artists who put their soul into this and supported our studio, only to face false AI accusations. It's tough to pour so much energy into a game and end up caught in the middle of an AI war by accident. We've decided to shut down the studio and end all future activities. Thank you for being with us. Stay strong, play games." The following day, the studio posted another statement conceding that some generative AI was indeed used, but only for promotional art, which it claims was created by external artists, saying, "We want to start with a sincere apology to everyone affected by the situation, the community, our partners, and especially the artists who supported us. The last few days have been overwhelming. As a small studio suddenly pushed into the spotlight, we reacted emotionally and defensively. The accusations came as a shock, and we needed time to breathe, look at everything calmly, and understand what truly happened. After taking that time and conducting an internal review, we agree with your criticism. The promo art does appear to include or be influenced by AI-generated material. We collaborated with external artists for years and never saw any signs of this. The layered PSDs always looked legitimate within our internal pipeline, which is why our initial reaction was to protect our team and defend our innocence. We understand now that your concerns were valid, and we take responsibility for not catching this earlier." Jesus Christ, there's so much to talk about with this. I'm not even done all the quotes. Let's get through this. "We also want to stress that this issue relates only to the promo art and does not concern the real artists who worked on gameplay visuals, assets, and other content. Many of them have nothing to do with the situation, yet they have been receiving threats, harassment, and hatred. This is deeply unfair, and we hope this message helps protect them. Their work is real, and it deserves respect. We previously announced the closure of the studio. Even in this state, we feel responsible for the outcome. As far as our remaining resources allow, we will replace all disrupted promo art across our projects with pieces created entirely by human artists. It will take time, but we will do it. We again apologize to everyone who was harmed or affected by the situation. We never intended to mislead anyone, and our earlier statements reflected that we honestly believed at the moment. The game still appears to be canceled, and Goonswarm appears to still be closed at this point. Holy shit. Can I get like a drink of water after reading all that? Good God. Ay caramba. So the first thing that comes to my mind is, you mean to tell me the people that are still obsessed with Postal all these years later might send death threats to developers? You mean to tell me that the people who own Postal, the owners of Postal, might call their own fans ignorant assholes and might throw around the R word? You know, the thing is that I think Postal 2 is an okay game. Like, it's dumb, and it's, you know, it's in your face, and it's so crazy and all this stuff, but like, I think it's okay. It's not the greatest game ever made. But I also think that, like, the people involved in Postal, the studio involved with Postal, is gross. I think that's my big problem, is that, like, in general, I think the people make a dumb, fun sandbox, you know, open world game, whatever, but why would you call your fans the R word? Explain that to me. Why would you call your fans the R word? I think it's gross. I don't know, man. Like I already don't feel super amazing when I fire up Postal and I'm like, peeing on things or whatnot. But like, it's an R. Kelly simulator, I guess. But this whole situation is gross. I'm not left with good feelings about the people that are still working on Postal games. And honestly, like a Postal game, like playing a Postal game, I feel like my brain is just slowly leaking out of my skull after reading this news story. I don't really know what to think. It's probably best I don't think much about it. We got two more news stories, and these are quick ones. These are quick ones. I promise. PlayStation is publishing the first game by J.J. Abrams' Bad Robot Games, which is a co-op shooter directed by Left 4 Dead's creator. The game is currently in development for PS5 and PC. But yeah, the folks at Bad Robot, J.J. Abrams, those folks are now going to start working on games. It might be their own separate, you know, studio or whatnot, but it's an unannounced 4-player co-op shooter directed by Mike Booth. Booth is Bad Robot Games' chief creative officer, best known as the creator and lead designer on Left 4 Dead and its sequel. And then the final news story here is Helldivers is getting a movie. It has been confirmed that Fast and Furious director Justin Lin will direct the Helldivers game. If you don't know Justin Lin, he worked on the Fast and Furious 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, as well as Star Trek Beyond. I wonder what Justin Lin has directed since then. What's Justin Lin been up to? We go down here to filmography. He worked on a 2025 movie called Last Days, which is a biographical drama. And the next movie, I should say, is Helldivers. He did work on Fast 10, but he was replaced as director during the project. You know, listen, I think that the Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift is still far and away my favorite Fast and Furious movie. This is not a joke. This is not a gag. This is not a whatever. Like, don't get me wrong. I think the Fast and Furious really turns into something different with like Fast 5 and Furious 6 and all of this stuff. I don't think I ever saw F9. I think I got out at some point with the Fast and Furious movies. F9 has John Cena. I have not seen F9. I did not see Fast 10. I think I stopped with the Fate of the Furious. Oh, I also watched, gosh, what's that movie called? That fucking awful, awful movie, Hobbs and Shaw. I saw Hobbs and Shaw. That movie is just fucking rotten, dude. Holy shit. If you've ever seen Hobbs and Shaw, the one with Jason Statham and Dwayne The Rock Johnson and Idris Elba is the bad guy. What a mess, dude. That movie stinks. Anyways, I'm not like, I think Justin Lin has made good movies. So even if he doesn't play Helldivers, I think he could bring a particular energy to the Helldivers movie. So I say, let him cook, which is actually exactly what the Arrowhead CEO said. He said, quote, let Justin Lin work his magic, in response to the idea that the director does not need to play the Helldiver game to direct the movie. Final break. I promise, final break. I'll be right back. After that, we're going to talk about Fallout 3 and a little bit of Dragon Age: The Veilguard. Stick around. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the podcast for the final segment of the show. I've been playing a little Fallout 3 on the internet. Fallout Fridays is very much in effect around these parts. That means that every Friday morning, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, I will be, including Boxing Day, I will be playing Fallout 3 live on the internet. So we are going to be doing that. The thing is that since getting back into Fallout 3, all I've kind of wanted to do is play more Fallout 3. So that might be a scenario where we sneak in a little more Fallout here and there. Those will either be live streamed or on YouTube, so you won't miss anything necessarily. But the plan right now is to play Fallout 3 as part of celebrating the release of Fallout Season 2 on Amazon Prime TV, Prime Video, whatever they call it. Anyways, long story short, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to that second season of TV. I know they're going to be releasing it every week instead of doing it all at once like they did last time. Or did they do it last time like that? I don't remember. But anyways, right now, if you go over to my YouTube channel, GnittWitt, you can check out Capital Punishment Fallout 3 playthrough part 1. That is up now. You get to see the character creator, the intro, the tutorials, and us getting out of the vault. We do get out of the vault. We run around. We do some quests. We meet the people at Megaton. And right now, we are pretty much, we know what the score is. We know where to go. I'm replaying this, by the way. So I do know I do remember large chunks of the story in this game. But basically, we know where to go. We know what to do in the main story, but we're doing some side quests right now. We're going to, next episode, we're going to try to help a little boy reconnect with his family in the wasteland. We have a letter to deliver, and there is a shopkeeper in Megaton who wants to write a wasteland survival guide. So I need to go visit a minefield and survive the minefield, grab one, a live active mine in the minefield, and bring it back to this lady, shopkeeper in Megaton, for more, adventures in her wasteland survival guide, where basically I do all the work, she writes everything, and then gives me some, money and items and stuff for my trouble. I did receive a comment saying that I pick up too many things in Fallout 3, that I spend too much time looking at every trash can and every metal container, looting every body. And I would just like to say that I don't want to be poor in the Fallout universe, right? I don't want to be in a situation where I don't have enough money, or I run out of money, or I don't have enough, items and things like that. I would very much like to be a successful, wealthy person in the world of Fallout, if possible. I would love to be able to afford things like bullets and ammo for other weapons. I would like to be able to afford the repair thing. You can, the weapons break down over time, right? So you have a pistol, you use it, it starts to break down. If you have another pistol, you can use that pistol to repair the other pistol and things like that. I want to have stim packs. I want to have money. I want to get stuff. I want to make stuff happen in the game. I'm very much aware of my hoarding technique of looting every body and corpse and trash can and dumpster. I totally get it. I will potentially try to ease up on that because I am enjoying my time with Fallout 3, that I might actually play through stuff like the DLC this time around in a way that I didn't do with Fallout New Vegas. No promises yet, but if I do play the DLC, that means that I will have a lot more of an opportunity to do side quests and odd jobs and make money and do all that stuff. So I'm sure that I will be able to, control myself at least a little bit in terms of picking up every single item in Fallout. I recognize that it is a sickness, but also I put those points into strength for a reason. When you start the game, you put your points into strength and perception and endurance and charisma and intelligence and agility and luck. And I did not put a lot of points into charisma because I'm going to be more of a shoot first, ask questions later kind of character. But that being said, I totally get it. I pick up too much shit. I hoard too much stuff. I will try to take it easy the next time I do that. I might do another video or another episode of Fallout tonight. We'll see how things go, but otherwise the next video and stream will be Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time over at twitch.tv/GnittWitt. And I also fired up Dragon Age the Veilguard. It's just one of those things where, I'm only going to be playing Fallout on the internet for people to watch, so I can't play it on my off time. I either make an excuse to do a stream of it on my off time, or I wait till Friday, such is life. But I thought to myself, you know what? I have a bunch of time before, the next big round of games comes out in 2026. Like, I feel like I've played a lot of the new games from this year that I want to play. I feel I'm more or less at peace with stuff like Game of the Year consideration and things like that. So now I'm really just kind of messing around with other games. And the other game is going back to Dragon Age the Veilguard now that it's available on Game Pass and the EA Play subscription. So I'm very much like, oh, you know what? I'll mess around with Dragon Age the Veilguard. Made a new character, different background, different character class. And I think this time around, I'm enjoying the game a little bit more now that I have a better understanding of the tone of the writing, the style of the writing, the story, like just kind of being more familiar with that stuff. I feel a little bit better about my time with it. Excuse me. That doesn't mean that I'm anywhere close to where I was when I dropped off on the game. So there's still a lot of progress to be made in Dragon Age the Veilguard before I feel like, yeah, I'm actually going to finish it this time and things like that. But for the most part, I'm enjoying it. And if you haven't had a chance to play Dragon Age the Veilguard, I think you probably got it for free on PlayStation Plus at one point in time, on Game Pass as well. So if you haven't played Dragon Age the Veilguard, check it out. I think it's kind of neat. You may not love the writing and the characters and stuff like that, but I think it is kind of cool. I'm going to continue to chip away at that slowly over time. That is going to do it for the podcast. I have been GnittWitt. You can find everything that I do over at my Linktree, linktree.com/GnittWitt. And remember, Fallout Fridays guaranteed to happen for the next couple of weeks anyways, over at twitch.tv/GnittWitt, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on Fridays. We're going to play some Fallout 3. So come on back. Maybe I'll get a chance to play some more of it today. We shall see. Not going to be playing it tomorrow because I would be watching the Game Awards instead, which is happening 4:30 Pacific Standard Time for those that want to watch. Anyways, we'll be back with more podcasts, more gaming, and significantly less horses talk next week. We'll see you all next week. Take it easy.